Life is for me, not against me shoes. Oh boy. This is really a challenging pair of shoes to wear. And is really, really hard to really accept, especially when life isn't working out for you. You're gonna go, I'm really not so sure. And I have to say, like, I've had this so many times. I've had people say to me, there is no way that I chose this. This is no way that I can see that this is for my own benefit. Why would I have, my partner cheating on me? Why would I have it where, I have a child that's, addicted? Why would I have it where, somebody was killed that I care about in an accident? Why me? Why me? And it is we get thrown into that victim shoes sometimes, even if you haven't got a propensity for wearing them. It's like that whole thing of like, well, I'm not getting that this is actually for me. And it's a tricky one. It's a really tricky pair of shoes to wear, especially when it's happening to you. And I think there were a lot of people where this was coming up a lot during the pandemic, where it was like, how is this to my benefit? Like, really, how is this helping me? I can't see how this is a benefit to me. So I'll give you an example. And she's she's an awesome lady. And this is a clear example of that, where she's a member of the Facebook group, and I just totally rate her. And I would say, like, her life would have been radically different if she had, if her life had not been disrupted, if things hadn't have happened what she felt at the time to her, she wouldn't be in such a strong position now. So she has a caravan, a mobile kitchen, and she worked for the airport. And of course, the pandemic happens and everything gets shut down. We're a hospitality environment. Now, her skill set is in catering. Well, no one could do catering because you had to have groups, right, to be able to do that. All events got cancelled. All hospitality stuff got cancelled. Restaurants were closed. The airport was closed. So it's like, what are you left with? Like, how do you make a living suddenly? Like, literally overnight, your world gets thrown, upside down, right? Amazing woman, handled really well. But long story short is that, there were opportunities to do her mobile catering because of the rules and regulations. She was able to sell burgers and stuff like that because of the distancing thing from her mobile cabin, her mobile kitchen, which you weren't allowed to do, oddly, in the restaurants. So, until they brought in that thing where, you can just go and pick stuff up. So actually, in a way, she was actually positioned better because she was able to have that, because she could be out in the open. She was allowed to do it probably more than the restaurants were. So there was a bit of a bonus. Then the silver lining as well was where she also had now a situation where the airport said, look, we would really like to take you back. But what happened is the events all came back online after the pandemic, and she landed up catering for these really big events, like big musical festivals that come into town and stuff like that. And she is in so much demand now that she has landed up earning so much more, getting all these really big gigs, and teaming up with some big outfit that has gourmet picnics up on mountains and stuff like that. And it's just like friggin' ace, man. I mean, that is a clear scenario of, you don't know why it's happening to you at the time, but in the end, the silver lining, the life is working for you bit, has turned out that she's getting way more money. Yes, she works hard, but it's concentrated periods of time, as opposed to getting paid hardly, well, I mean, she got paid, as you would, but like not mega money, not like the money that she probably really deserved, doing this. And I was like thinking, and I said to her, now that we see how life has worked for you, can you see, when you were in it, you couldn't see it, but now you look back on it, and if that had not have happened for you, Would you have gone so hard on your catering? Yes or no? And of course the answer was no. She wouldn't have, because she was too comfortable. You know, we get in our comfort zones, and sometimes, you know, God, life, universe, whatever you want to call it, comes along with this great big rock, and it throws a boulder through our window and says, nah, we're not going to have you do that. We're done with going down that road. You know, you're getting too comfortable, too complacent. It's not the direction you're supposed to be going, and this is the way that you really, this is what your soul purpose is all about. This is what you really is supposed to be doing. So these are the shoes you really you know, supposed to be wearing. And for her, it was her catering shoes. And look, I mean, that girl is flying, baby. I mean, she is just out there, you know, like, you know, trying to catch up with her these days is like, you know, fun and games, because she's so booked out. And it's just, it's like chalk and cheese, the difference, you know. So, and I'll give you another example as well, where I had a business in one of the recessions. Oh flip, I can't even remember which. I mean, what are we now? What recession number are we on now, people? Holy smoke. Anyway, and of course, you know, everything got cut back, and you know, I had sold my business, and the new business, the partners that I that I was working with, unfortunately, they just weren't pulling their weight. I was doing everything. I had 2 sick kids under the age of 2 at that time, and eventually I landed up having to pull the pin, because you know, we were now all sick, except for my husband, you know, because we were just doing, I didn't get a full night's sleep literally for 2 years solid, like literally nothing, because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with the kids, and it was all allergy stuff, but they just didn't think about testing, and they didn't, and if they, I suppose even if they had, I don't even think they would have tested for the right stuff. But anyway, we got onto it real quick, because I ended up doing a hair allergy test, and I found out everything in one go, boom, and it was done. And I was like, thank goodness, it was an absolute, you know, breath of fresh air having that. But effectively, this big concept that I'd gone international with, I had to walk away from that. I was supposed to get paid out, I didn't. And it's just like, not an ideal scenario. Anyway, we had landed up deciding that we would sell our house and look for other land. But of course, you see, you know, you're nervous, because it's like, well, is that such a smart move? Because, you know, you've got no sort of new income now, because, you know, you've decided to take a year out to be with your children, and it was serious vacuum, you know, serious unstable waters, seriously, like, thank goodness I had a lot of my coaching, but because I had been quite unwell as well, and because I was so knackered, because I hadn't slept for, like, literally, I'm not joking when I say I didn't sleep at all for a full night for 2 years like that, and I think it might have even been longer than that, until we got on top of those allergies. I did not get, you know, 2 hours was a good stretch for me. So, you know, when you're talking about overwhelm, girlfriends, I know what that's like. You know, I've been there, and this is kind of half the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing now, is like, you know, if I had a lot of tools under my belt that helped me get through that, but there were so many more. That really would have made a huge, massive difference. And I just see so many women doing far too much compared to what we really should be doing, and half of that stuff, do we really want to be doing that, and should we be doing that, and who said we have to be doing that, who said we have to be wearing those shoes, doing it that way, and you know, I just was like, you know, nah, you know, things got to change, eh? So that's where I got to, you know, like, it was just like I had to take that breather. Anyway, long story short is, we had visions of going out into a really wealthy area, but again, then I was like, I'm not going to have time for my kids, and there was a lot of decision making around that. So long and short of it is that, you know, I know we've got alarms and things going off here, but they're actually doing training. It's not that we're in danger zone. That's actually very unusual to hear there, by the way. I just wanted to let you know that. But they're doing training on that side, and then we've got a kids group on that side. Normally it's dead quiet out here, but anyway, there you go. Yes, so as I was saying, let me see if I can get back on track here. It helps if you keep those shoes on, people. Yes. So, it's the way that life was happening to me. I felt life was happening to me, not for me, and I felt like that was happening to me for at least 2 years, if not longer, probably 3, if I'm honest. And we were looking for this much bigger piece of land, and then I thought, no, you have a school zoning thing. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to go and visit my mum and just take a breather. We just need to go and just sit on a beach and just recover. And we did that. I stayed there for several weeks with my kids. And then we got on a plane, and I got off the plane literally and drove back to the place that we were renting while we were looking to buy land. And I literally drove past this plot of land where we live now, which was way bigger. And I can't tell you what a flippin' blessing it was. The lady was actually knocking the stake in the ground to put the price tag and real estate information on. And I got out of the car and I said, do you know how much they want for this land? And she was the developer, and she said, well, yes, I do actually. So I asked, and I was like, oh, actually that is something, and oh, actually I quite like this piece of land. So I phoned my hubby and I said, look, literally got off the plane, any chance you could come and have a look on this piece of land on your way home? Fully expecting him to say no. He's the one who goes, oh, let's think about that. I don't know, I'm not too sure. I'm the one who goes in guns blazing, let's make it happen, let's do it, and he's the more constant stabilizer of the family. And the lady said, okay, I'll put a pending sign on for you. And honestly, there were 8 offers behind us. We put an offer in that night. He came and had a look at it, and there were several offers. I think it was 8 offers behind us. And because we had put in the first offer, by virtue, pure luck, being in the right place at the right time, that was life now still working for me, but I didn't realize that at the time. And what's actually happened around that is that by virtue of where we are, it was old farmland, and it's a bigger piece of land, and we backed up onto a farm, so we felt like we had a farm, but without needing to without the expense of a farm. So we could give the experience to the kids of like having a farm environment, but without having to do all the buying of the sheep and shearing the sheep and looking after the sheep, yada yada. Fantastic, thumbs up. I was like, yeah, that's sweet. And now they have literally built everything around us for my convenience. And I absolutely love it. Like, no jokes, our property backs onto a brand new hospital that's just been built. The farm got developed into a very wealthy retirement village, so they now have a nice fancy little shopping quadrant area where we've got a fancy deli, we've got a fancy restaurant, we've got a Pilates studio, we've got a dentist on our back fence, we have got a kindergarten on our back fence, we have got a clinic a clinic on our back fence. They decided that instead of putting the school somewhere else, they then decided to put it in the main paddock, in the main field, literally 2 blocks from where we are, so the kids can quite literally walk to school. I mean, they have literally built an entire town convenience system around us. The buses stop literally round the corner. I mean, we are literally 10 minutes from the shopping centre. We are literally 10 minutes from the event centre where all the swimming and everything can happen and all their sports. And I'm just like, if you had said that to me in my world of chaos, when I was, trying to get this other business off the ground with partners that just weren't pulling their weight, where I was throwing money into it and that they were not putting anything in, where I didn't get paid out when I was supposed to, where we were all completely sick, and, I wasn't getting full night's sleep, and then the recession. If you had said to me in that moment life was working for you, I would have said, are you on drugs? There is no way all this can. I never asked for this to happen to me. Come on, there's no way that I would allow for that to happen to me. I mean, why would I possibly ever want to have it where I'd have 2 sick kids, under the age of, 2, where I, not being able to sleep for 2 full nights. Why would I? That is not life working for me. But it was a bonus, because in that instance, it gave me the insight to start looking into natural options rather than just the conventional norm. Now, yes, I'm not bagging conventional. There's always a place for that kind of treatment, but it just hadn't worked for us. It didn't work for us, and you have to think outside the square. I had to get my inspector, my Sherlock shoes on and start investigating different options, and then trying out those options, being brave enough to take those options, standing up in my stand-up shoes when the doctor said, well, no, that's all poo-poo, that's nonsense, which I did get. And I just had to have that honest conversation, authentic conversation, saying, look, we've come into you quite literally for 2 years solid, and all you've given us is ready pred, and steroids and inhalers, and and antibiotics, and literally 2 years back to back of that for pretty much all three of us. It's not cutting the mustard. Something is not working. And at what point are you going to go, it's not working, so we got to do something different, right? So that's what I did. So again, you see, I do see that as life having worked for me, because if we had not been in that situation where it was so uncomfortable, would I have looked outside the square? Would I have stepped into new discovery issues? Would I have gone, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to look to see if there are other answers. And man, I was lucky. Who I found was incredible, and I'm partnered with her still now. She's a naturopath up in Auckland, and she does hair analysis tests. And she literally gave us a whole list of everything that we had issues with, right bang there and then. Now, if that hadn't happened, would I have gone down the kinesiology route? Probably not. The fact that I had my hip out of sync because of 2 C-sections made me then look to, I was doing chiro and physio, and yes, while it helped some bit, it still wasn't really correcting it. And then I had to think outside the square. I had to step outside of that zone of, well, it's working, but not quite to the degree that I would like it to. What could make the difference? So I went and did some research. I behaved like a 5, and I did my research and my analysis, and then I discovered this kinesiology thing. And I just so happened, life working for you, that I had a friend who we had done a lot of work with in my other business, who I had a lot of credit with, and they had this kinesiologist on board. Never heard of a person like that. They're muscle testing people. And he was incredible. He corrected, my hip, and then that was the first time. And then when I had my second child, I had the same problem again, but he had left. He had gone back to the UK. So I immediately knew, oh, you know what? That actually worked for me. That strategy worked. So I'm going to go and look for that person. Found 2 ladies who happened to life working for you, just happened to be in Wanaka, which is over the hill from where we live. And they are qualified kinesiologists, and in fact one is one of the founding chair ladies from the British Society of Kinesiology. Hello, could you get more qualified? Went over there 3 days, completely, they did all their magic, and everything got aligned, and I was fine. And I was just like, holy smoke, thank goodness. Now, would I have done that? Would I have gone down that road if the tablets had worked, or whatever it is that the inhalers had worked? Most likely not, because I wasn't out of my comfort zone. So life is always working for you, not against you, is my point, So maybe you can share some examples, hey? Would you mind popping some ideas that you've got in the comments box below? I would love to know what they are. Or if you don't have time, totally understand. If you could just be kind enough to like, share, subscribe if you're in the YouTube channel. If you're in Facebook, please, ask other lovely ladies just like you to come and join us, so that we can all support each other. And when we are having those moments of, is life really working for me, that we can reach out to the other members and say, yes, that is actually true. We don't know what it is right now, but it will become clear, and that helps us get some level of stability. I hope you found that useful. If so, please say, give me some indication in the comments box, and like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody. Namaste.